Hey everybody, Chaos Corner here. Today I got something a little bit different. I don't know if this is going to be a one-part or two-part video, but as you see, we're looking at a Charter Arms AR7 Explorer rifle. And to be quite honest, I don't know if this predates the one that's currently out, the Henery TakeDown rifle, or the Henery was first, and I know one of them went away, came back, whatever. Do the research if you care. Anyway, I'm going to show you how to take it apart, put it back together, clean it, and in the process I'm going to show you a detailed breakdown of the entire rifle. As I said, I don't know if this will be a one-part video or a two-part video or how it's going to work out, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, let's see. This is what you basically have that you carry around with. Right here's a locking screw to bolt the receiver to it. Let's see if you can read that. Charter Arms AR7 Explorer. So this is not the Henery rifle that everybody has now, but it's virtually identical, at least mechanically speaking. Same magazines, little 8-round magazine. Put that over here. "16" barrel, and the receiver. Now, and that's all there is to it. Now, bear with me, I'm going to move the camera back so you can hopefully see a little better. I'll try to make that work. Alright, as you can see, everything fits right there in the buttstock. Show you that again. Try to get it to show up on the camera. The receiver just drops down in there. Anyway, it's a little hard to do on the camera like this. Oh, right here you'll notice a screw. This is to adjust your sight, because if you look right through there, it'll line up with the peep sight, or that's the peep sight. It'll line up with the blade on the front of the barrel, and that's what gives you your sight picture. And it does have, it just slides on there like that. It does have adjustable sights on it, and you just screw this in. I'm sure there's other videos on this. In fact, I know there are, but I don't know how far they break it down. And that just screws in. Now your receiver's locked in. And you just take the barrel. You'll notice the notch in the top of the receiver matches the pin on top of the barrel. Just slide the two together. And screw the barrel nut down. And that's basically your rifle. Charging handle pulls out. That's how you cock the gun. Here's the safety. Slide it back for safe. Move it forward when you're ready to fire. I don't know if I can get you a sight picture, but we'll see what we can do. Get on the other side of the tripod. Nope, it's not going to work. Anyway, okay, that's how you put the gun together from the takedown. Now we're going to take it apart. And then I'm going to do a detail strip of the receiver. That just pulls right out. Unscrew the nut, bolt, whatever in the bottom of the receiver. And it's back in park. Okay, I'm going to pause the video for a second and get it ready to take down the receiver. Okay, chaos, I'm back. Okay, bear with me because I've only done this one time before, and I actually bought this gun for a very good friend of mine, and they don't know that much about guns, how to clean them, take them apart, anything like that. So I'm making this video so they know how to take care of it when they get it. Okay, this is fairly basic. This screw, you take it off, it allows you to take everything else out of the receiver. Now, I don't know if anybody else wondered why this is called the AR7, but I did. And you know, you're thinking, hey, this doesn't look anything like an AR-15, AR-10, anything else I've ever heard of. Well, it actually gets down to the trigger mechanism. I don't know if y'all can actually see that. But if you look at that, it's actually very similar to the internals of an AR-15. Same hammer, bolt cock in the hammer, same disconnects here, all of that kind of stuff. But it's all pretty basic, it all just pops into place. And if you'll bear with me, I'm going to try to fumble my way through taking this thing apart so they can see how to do it and be able to clean it and put it back together. So let's see, first step is taking out the magazine release catch, which has this little spring attached to it. Be careful not to lose any of these pieces. I'm going to lay those out the way they came out. If I'm not mistaken, that's the... No, it's not the ejector. I'm not sure what it is. Anyway. Okay, now the trigger. Release the tension on the spring. On the hammer spring. And if you... Here it goes. Release the hammer. That allows the trigger to come out with that pin, which goes right in there, and this spring will rest right there temporarily when you go to put the trigger back in there. Just FYI. And now you'll be able to pull the charging handle off, and that will release the tension off the bolt assembly, which also makes the hammer pop out. There's your hammer. And there's your bolt assembly. And what you're not seeing is a little plastic piece inside that holds the recoil springs in, which slides out the front. And that is completely disassembled, or at least as far as need be for cleaning purposes. Now, basically, here's your bolt. It's only had about 20 rounds fired through it, so it's not filthy. I cleaned it right before I took it back to the range last time. But kind of you just wipe it off, get all the gunk off of it, depending on how much you shot it. Good old Hoppe's number 9. Good all-purpose solvent. Get the bolt face. Wipe it down real good. Now, not a whole lot to it. Wipe it down, put some solvent on it. Dry it off, get all the gunk off of it. I'm not doing a great job, so I don't really want to hear anything about it, people. You know, you clean it as much as you want to. And I might go back and do this a little more later. But for now, I'm going to let it go so I can show how to reassemble this thing. And basically all these pieces, you just wipe them off. You can use solvent if you want to, you don't really have to. I'm just getting some of the gunk off. Just wipe everything down. All right. Okay. I would use solvent if I was doing this, doing a really good job. But you know, just get as much as you can out of here. Clean it off. I'll take my screwdriver, shove it in here. Okay. The bolt's only traveling about, what, an inch, inch and a half in this whole thing, so if you get 95% of it, you're probably doing better than you need to, in my opinion. I'm no expert, I'm not really a gunsmith. I'm just not scared to mess with them. Okay, now let's see if I can show you how to put this back together. And this is the hard part of the whole thing. So we have this bolt. It's got these two springs. These springs aren't much. It's probably the weakest point of this whole design. And it's a pretty good design, but there's definitely room for improvement. Take the springs and you stick them in these holes. Now I may mess this up because I forgot the order, and it took me probably an hour of messing with it last time to figure out exactly how all this stuff goes together. But there's basically your bolt recoil spring assembly. Theoretically, this just slides up in here. I don't know if you can see that, but those will just bottom out in the bottom. Now the biggest issue you're going to have is keeping the springs straight while you're putting everything else back together, because when they compress they want to kink. If you look at it from the end view, you need to keep this square perpendicular to the frame itself. That will tend to help keep these springs straight inside the receiver. Okay, let's see what we got. The issue is, like I said, I've only done this once. It helps if I get it in the right orientation. Okay. I hope you could see what I was doing. Honestly, I couldn't tell if that was in frame or not. But I just slid the hammer up inside this groove inside the bolt. And this has an identical pin on the other side of it that goes into a hole in the frame. You hook this pin, this leg of the spring, back up here in the frame. Like that, so it just rests right on top of it. And the hammer goes up inside of the bolt. And that's how it just sits. Now, the trigger okay. Here's where it's a little tedious. The trigger will sit on that pin just like that. Now the trick is we have to get that leg of that spring on this side, and there's a little, if I can get it angled right, you'll see there's grooves cut in that pin for those spring legs to sit on. So what I'm going to do is try to lift these up. Oops. And that's not going to work. And you basically just have to play with it. That's why I have these pliers sitting here, so I have options. Ow, I just popped it all out. Okay. At this point, we pull the hammer back out. And we try to reset it. And you may have to do it 2 or 3 times. Okay. Now that I've got that in there, now we'll go for the trigger again. Okay, we're going to reach in here, and it popped off too. That's where my problem is. The pin wants to float out. This pin moves. Okay. There we go. Now we'll try to get the other leg around. Sorry, bumped the camera. Nearly dropped everything out. Okay, I think I finally got it set in there. What I was doing was centering this pin where the leg of the spring, and you're not going to be able to see that. Anyway, the leg of the spring has to set in the groove of the pin, and I managed to get it the last time. Okay, now again with keeping the bolt straight. Okay. This little piece has to go in here just like that. Okay, if you didn't see that, this little hook goes behind this shelf into the groove of the bolt, and then the hole goes over that pin that's in the frame. Now the little spring goes in that little groove right there. Okay. Now the magazine catch also goes over the same hole, and the spring just rests up against the back side of it. If you can see that. So when you push it forward, it'll release the magazine. Okay. Now that we got everything back together internally, we're going to try to put the cover plate on so it doesn't pop apart. Let's wipe it off first. It's kind of nasty. Okay, cover plate. And you have to squeeze the pin that's in the frame back through the hole in the cover plate. Evidently I'm not doing it right. Okay, what am I doing wrong? Oh, the trigger wasn't aligned. The trigger has to be under the hammer. They're right on the same plane. Now, everything lines up nice and tight. I'm going to go ahead and put the screw in it and hope it holds it in place. I'm actually doing this slightly different than the last time. You'll notice I have not put in the charging handle as of yet. And I hope this works better than what I did last time. And unfortunately, I don't think it's going to. Okay, we'll take it apart. This may be an issue of the recoil springs getting bound up again. Or maybe just the cover plate's binding it up. Okay. One thing, you actually are getting a real life view of what this is like. Okay. Okay, I'm going to pause the camera for a minute. And I'll let you know what happened. Okay, just like I said, I'm going to let you know what happened. This little lever that's attached to the magazine release was not positioned correctly. You have to shove the bolt, and right here is a good example of those springs twisting on you. You can actually see that for yourself right now. Okay, anyway, I'm going to try to get this to work. What you have to do shove the bolt in there. Okay, that actually worked. You just straighten the springs out and eventually they pop in the holes. And the bolt, or the charging handle, holds the bolt in place. So trust me, y'all didn't miss anything. And this actually goes well, just like that. And if I can show you, it sits in this groove. There it is. Sits in the groove in the bolt itself, in front of the cutout. Now it is behind this tab right here, but it's inside that groove, and you can see it sticking out, right, sticking in there right there. And that's how that goes now. So you just put the spring back in. You put the magazine catch back in, keeping the spring in place. Now we lost the spring. Pausing one more time. Okay, back. And this is why I don't do how-to videos, typically. Okay, you put the spring in, spring right there, just like I showed you before. Magazine catch. Just like I showed you before. Now it's all in there. Now we should be able to put the side cover back on. And the screw. Okay. Now with any luck, and no, you're not supposed to dry fire at 22, but you have to function check it. And that is a rebuilt Charter Arms AR7 receiver, and it's cleaned enough to be functional. So that is how you take one apart and put it back together successfully. I don't think there's anything else you need to know. I mean, basic cleaning. You run 22 caliber bronze brush through the chamber, chamber through the barrel. Put some hoppies on it, scrub it out. Remember, you only push from the breech to the muzzle end. You do not go the other direction. And then you get a patch push like this. Again, you run it from breech to muzzle and never go this way. Push it through, you take the patch out, you pull the rod out, and do it again. And once it doesn't have any dirt on it, you're clean. Okay, that's all I got to say about that. Hope you all enjoyed it. Hope somebody learned something. If not, I'm sorry. If you found it annoying, I really don't care. Anyway, have a nice day. Chaos out.